plugged into everything KFAN. Sports updates, ticket giveaways, and show highlights. Follow at KFAN 1003 on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X today.
Uncomedies tend to be joined by the legendary one, Mark Rosen, here this afternoon. And, it was yesterday toward the end of the show. The show ended. And someone I remember who was said, hey, Chad Abbott wants to see you in his new office. Right, so I immediately thought Mark Rosen's time at the Fan had expired. Expired. And he was about to be fired. So I waited a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Then I went over there, and there was a whole group of people in that office, including Louis Nanny. And Tenneby, what did Louis Nanny say to Mark Rosen when Rosen said he was going to be missing like 6 months because of knee replacement?
I didn't say 6 months.
He said, is your tongue going on vacation too?
Oh, he should talk.
It's genius.
But he said he had knee replacement. He missed 3 days. Did you hear the
story? Did you hear his story about he was trying to drive and with like 1 foot and got rear-ended? I mean, it was not a very...
he was driving with his left foot with his right leg, on the dashboard, and then he got rear-ended.
He got rear-ended. It didn't sound real safe. It sounded really typical Louis-like. I'm not going to...
Have you heard of Uber?
I'm not going to Uber over here. Are they going to pay for it? I'm going to Uber over here. I'm going to Uber over here. First of all you do is bitch when I'm on the air with you. Now you want me to come in 2 days after having major knee surgery when I'm high as a kite.
You won't, after 2 days, it'll wear off.
Yeah, I know the pain. Then the pain will kick in. I'll be here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't think you're. I think you're going to miss like 6 months.
I told him to get StreamYard too.
I won't miss 6 months. I got to get ready for Vikings training camp. I'm getting ready for the season. So I know I hope to be get rides over here when I can. I won't be driving for a little bit because it is my right leg. I won't have full extension. That sounds a little dangerous, going from the gas pedal to the brake. But
don't they have one of those driverless cars? Couldn't you buy one of those?
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be a good idea. I don't think I'll do that.
So we're in studio today. That's why there were so many chairs, I'm assuming. Let me ask you a question. Who did you select in the Power Trip morning show's U.S. Open pick'em pool?
Well, we had, I was like third to last time, so I was one of 3 names that potentially would have gotten the number 1 pick, but of course I didn't get that. I think Power Trip Bets, the guy actually, Power Trip Bets guy got it. Good for him. Oh. He took Rahm. And then Parrish
took Johnny Rahm.
Yeah, and then Parrish took Rory. I was pretty well down the list by then. I was I'm not saying it was slim pickings. There's a lot of great golfers. So I ended up with Wyndham Clark, who's been playing awfully well. As long as he doesn't, break up the locker room again and throw a hissy fit. He's been playing really well. I don't think he's going to.
I love that last week up in Canada, he wore the Jack Hughes USA jersey in front of all the Canadian fans.
he was trolling him pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a player. I mean, it's not a bad pick. I mean, you look at the rest of the field, and everyone's talking about the wind conditions tomorrow and expected 35-mile-an-hour winds, and it's a typical U.S. Open. I mean, the rough is the rough, and the fescue is the fescue, and it's going to be.
Well, it's not as typical as it has been from the standpoint. What they have decided is they are making the fairways a little bit wider, and the reason they're making the fairways wider is because when the wind blows, and what they would like is balls to roll into bunkers and such like that, and so they've widened the fairway. Matter of fact, it was on live from last night. It was either McIlroy or Scheffler. One of the two was talking about how they thought the fairway should be just a little bit wider, not because they want to make it. These guys are looking for an easier route, but if it just turns into bomb and gouge, that ends up being not so much fun either. When it was just like hit it as far as you possibly, because you're going to go in the rough, so you may as well just one of my favorite quotes in golf was Nick Price once said, if you're going to hit it into the rubbish, hit it a long way into the rubbish. So my guess is these guys would just say, well, as long as, and this is what, I think it was Scheffler. He said, well, if you're going to go in the rough, if you're taking away the driver as far as it's, the fairways are too narrow, well, then everybody's just going to bomb and gouge, and then it turns into a bomb and gouge tournament, and that's not so fun. So that's the one thing they did. And also there were several players. McIlroy, I think, said he thinks it's the truest test of the best test of championship golf in the United States, because Shinnecock, because of the winds, like you say, I can't remember the name of the architect. It was obviously many, many years ago. The course opened back in 1893, I believe, was when it opened. but they have a 3-hole like triangle so that you will hit balls at all 3 different wind. In the winter, so you'll be hitting into the wind, you'll be hitting crosswind, you'll be hitting with the wind at your back. Just the brilliance of the design, right? That there will be wind blowing, but because the way they've configured the holes, one of those holes you'll be hitting into the wind, next hole you'll be hitting a crosswind, the next hole you'll be hitting the ball downwind. The greens are diabolical; they're like turtle shells, right? And so they said that the greens will be a little slower than they generally are at U.S. Opens because it is so difficult to hit those greens and get them to hold, especially with the wind. They need to have them a titch slower than they normally are, but. This is the 6th U.S. Open I think they've had at Shinnecock, and they've had a lot of great winners there.
Not many under par scores.
No.
History of the tournament. That's what you're not going to see, which is fine. I think it's,
and most U.S. Opens are not.
No.
They don't go deep because generally speaking, they are narrow fairways and thick, deep rough on either side. And that's why some people like that. And I understand it is fun to watch. It makes it perilous, but at the same time, then to me it just does turn into who can drive the ball the straightest. And sometimes it's that you want to see guys create shots. Okay, he's hit it in the rough.
Yeah.
If all you've done is hit it in the rough, and all you can do is advance it sideways, well, okay. But if the rough's not quite as thick and you hit one, you go, well, what can I do? Can I cut it around this tree or whatever the case may be out of the rough?
Well, I'm sure it'll be a lot more interesting. I found the PGA Championship to be rather tedious and more. I didn't remember any memorable hole, or there wasn't really a lot of excitement, I didn't think, in the entire tournament. Maybe that was just me, but I found it kind of laborious.
It all depends upon what you appreciate out of golf.
You're right.
And with the PGA Championship this year, it was almost U.S. Open-like in that it put a premium on making pars. And again, those greens were very difficult to read. They're really the only protection of Aronimink was the greens. And the other factor is because it doesn't host any, I think that was the first
major
since 1962 when I think Gary Player won there. So these players aren't as familiar with those greens. And when you're playing green, for the veterans that have played Augusta National, as difficult those greens can be, well, they've played them so much, nothing really surprises them. They might still not putt well, but they go,
I get it.
Well, I know if the pin is back left on 13, I need to be here. And if I'm right front, I know where it's breaking and all that. At Aronimink, it was you only get a handful of practice rounds and you don't know it all. And I think that will be the same thing that will happen at Shinnecock. But yeah, it should be a high wire act. I'm going to ahead of time record the final round because I'm going to be out in San Francisco with baby brother Peter
that's right.
and my lovely wife Potato.
Yeah.
And we're not going to sit around and watch. When we're in San Francisco, we're not going to watch TV. We're going to Alcatraz. So. We're going to Muir Woods.
Tickets, I hope. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're going to Alcatraz. We're going to Muir Woods. Yeah. We're going to Sausalito. We're going to go to the Haight-Ashbury. We're going to go to Fisherman's Wharf. We're going to go over to Tiburon, so we're going to be moving.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, we're going to be
good for you. That's the way to enjoy the city and everything about the Bay Area. You're hitting all the right spots, and you'll be going through near Golden Gate Park if you go to Haight-Ashbury, which is phenomenal. Maybe the biggest park I think in the country, bigger than Central Park. My son used to live around there, and it was fabulous. So, that'll be fun. No, I can understand why you wouldn't be on Father's Day in particular, be glued to the TV watching the U.S. Open. Record it. Yeah, have fun.
So, I don't know how into World Cup you are, but Deuce had it on last night.
I was watching.
He turned it live from. And I was a little bitter. He looks at me and says, all they're doing is idolizing and pedestalizing a strip of land, which they kind of were.
He sounds like his old man.
It was, even for me, it's a little over the top. Yeah. I mean, every time they said Shinnecock, they said it in hushed tones. Shinnecock. It is just a strip of land with some dirt bunkers and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, he turns it over to, and the Messi guy, I'd never seen him play before. I know of him. Hat trick. All he does is score. There's a guy that's in the right place at the right time, and he knows how to put the biscuit into the basket.
He's got the left foot of God, as they say. I mean, he is astonishing to watch. And this is obviously going to be his last World Cup, but it's a treat to have him at still the peak of his career. I mean, he's spectacular.
You like
to watch.
Messi?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's what's not to. I mean,
they won the last World Cup, Argentina, right? Is that correct?
I believe they did.
I think they won.
Yep. He's won pretty much every individual award possible. He's played for Barcelona. I mean, he's been the captain for Major League Soccer teams in Miami, and obviously the Argentina national team. And
how do you know this?
I'm looking it up.
Oh,
but no, I do remember him playing. Yeah, I mean, part of it. Yeah, I mean, he's.
I think both of you are considered our resident World Cup.
I don't.
Experts.
Yeah, definitely me.
Yeah, definitely Kenny is. Yeah.
Has anybody in World Cup ever repeated? Won it 1 year, then 4 years later won again? I would suppose like Brazil probably did, right?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, clearly I know this as an expert in World Cup. It's happened twice.
Oh, it has.
Oh.
Italy and Brazil have done it. It hasn't happened since 1962.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That was the Pele era, right?
Pele was after that, wasn't it?
Maybe it was. Or maybe it was that guy from Italy. His name was Philippe Arrivederci.
Philippe Navidad.
Or maybe it was Goggles Paisano. But nonetheless, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to get to. It's going to be, we want to give away a big boat. 2.5 bands is what we want to give away, right?
Yeah, the fan has your chance to win $2,500. Just enter the keyword birthday at KFAN.com now. That keyword is birthday. Enter it now at KFAN.com. The takes don't stop when the mics turn off. Check out the KFAN YouTube channel for exclusive videos, in-depth takes, initials, and password games, and behind-the-scenes content. Search KFAN on YouTube and hit subscribe today.
Where is Nordo going to be for watch party again?
Dugarel's in Hastings. Friday.
It's Nordo's takeover of Dugarel's. He's taking it over just like the Power Trip took over Treasure Island. Same thing, just taking it over.
He's also going to join the Tenna Fitzgerald on his way out there.
Oh.
He's going to stop at Suda to break down, or preview, I should say, USA Australia.
That'll be Friday.
Friday.
Here on the Common Man program, which will be the Tenna Fitzgerald on Friday. He's the legendary one, Mark Rosen, along with Common and Tenna B. So did we talk about the now I forget the guy's name, Sorsby, the Texas Tech quarterback guy.
We touched on it, just about the gambling part of it. He's
going to be in the supplemental draft now. He's decided, Texas Tech completely backpedaled. They pulled a Rosen.
They sure did.
They just said, you know what? They said, we don't want you back. There was a lot of pushback. So now he's declared for
staying in our program.
The NFL draft. Tenna B and I discussed that I was of the opinion a lot of teams would give up a first-round draft pick, but Tenna says, well, maybe not a first-rounder because, he's a good quarterback, but, if he's been around 4 years, going to play a fifth year, how good could he be? Wouldn't he have wanted to leave earlier? I still think somebody will give up certainly a second-round pick. It's hard to find franchise quarterbacks, and the kid does have a ton of talent. I don't think I read a story from CBS Sports List Radio. It said, the 8 teams would be most likely. The Vikings were not one of those. But I always say, too, is I would never say never about any team. Unless you've got, if you've got Caleb Williams, the Bears aren't interested because he's young and, and he's still got plenty of years to go. Or if a guy is in his prime, like a Burrow or Mahomes, not going to. But if you're, let's say you're a coach of a team, like an O'Connell, and you've admired Sorsby a lot, you go, God, I love the way this kid plays. And boy, it'd be, how cool would it be to have him on our team? But that's never going to happen. Now all of a sudden he's available. I could see where teams that might think they have one, if they like a guy enough and think this is the guy, they could go after him. It'll be interesting to see where he goes and what kind of career he has.
Yeah, it's not often we have these sorts of supplemental draft. And I don't think a date has been established when this is happening and what the mechanics are of getting it done. I remember the one that affected the Vikings the most was the Bernie Kosar supplemental draft.
Yes.
And the Vikings had their eyes on drafting and bringing Bernie Kosar in here, and it turned out Kosar wanted to play in Cleveland, of all places, right? So I think he had a storied collegiate career, and then the Vikings were hopeful. Mike Lynn, I think, was the GM at the time, hopeful of getting him, and then it just didn't work out for whatever reasons. I really don't remember the specifics of all of it, other than the fact I think Kosar really didn't want to come here. But yeah, this doesn't happen all that often, especially when involving quarterbacks. And so, there'll be, I'm sure, a lot of teams that are interested in him, but when it's going to happen, I guess in July sometime,
I think that's right.
And how again, the mechanics of the supplemental draft is going to work and who's going to take him and where he's going to end up. It's just a weird story, the whole thing. It's just it's a stain on the whole program in college football. And, it's just, I'm sure it's not going to derail if he produces on the field whenever he gets his chance. It's not going to derail it, but there's going to be this. Has he got money on this game? That whole thing, especially when you're the quarterback. You throw a late pick and you go.
Well, I would hope he would be passed.
I would hope so, but things do follow you for a while until you can prove otherwise.
Well, there've been a lot of players that have had plenty of issues off the field, and teams stick with them.
Well, I think the gambling part of it is the one that I'm specifically.
Right.
Of course, there've been a ton of them. There's a bunch of them right now that are waiting for the NFL to potentially put the hammer down on them, including the Jacobs running back from the Packers, and. You don't have to necessarily wait for the court, the law to step in or to have a court decision for the NFL. They have their own security people enforced, and they look into things themselves, no matter what the cases we've seen, with suspensions and how they handle those things internally. They wait for no one. They have to deal with their own policies.
Now, Tennessee, how about this theory in regards to why Sorsby came back? It says, top-level college athletes are earning more in school than they would as a rookie in the pros. That's why he wanted to go back to school for one more year. Yeah. Probably had gambling debts to pay off, too. But maybe that's the reason he wanted to go back, because it's amazing. I mean, there are college kids that, I talked about this the other day, the Isaac Asima. I think that's how you say it. He's the kid from Cherry.
The Gophers
I think the Gophers had to pay him, I think they had to pay him like $1 million. Yeah. Because there were other schools that were interested in him, and so that's pretty good money when you're a junior in college. Yeah. And so, I don't know what his nil money was. I don't know, but I'm sure it was plenty.
A lot more than that.
And it was probably more than what he would make as a first-year quarterback. So maybe some guys do that. Just say, yeah, I could come out early, but you know what? I can make a boatload of money.
I think my point was, if he was like a top 5, top 10-ish pick, right, you would go to the NFL draft because they're going to be making more money there. If you are borderline or don't know where you're going to land, then yeah, you take the guaranteed money of college as opposed to dropping to the second or third round.
Yeah, it could be right. Yeah,
but yeah, this
interesting to see.
This isn't going to end. I mean, I think the Gophers are trying to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, and we've seen what happened at Indiana, winning a national championship and having 2 phenomenal years, capped off by the national title, and Kurt Cignetti is trying to do it again, and. You get and I think he was able to, it wasn't just a matter of buying the best players. I think it's been well documented that he took a lot of second tier guys and turned them into really good football players. You can't take anything away from his coaching ability and what he was able to do with Indiana after being a bottom feeder for decades in the Big Ten. And now they're, sitting on top of the world, and they have another really good team coming, even though they don't have Mendoza, obviously, this year. I'm sure they have another quarterback they've paid handsomely to come in and play for him. Who wouldn't want to play quarterback for that team? Yeah.
Won't be long before it starts.
Yeah, well, you're right. It goes fast. We're already in, you're heading out this weekend. We're already in almost the end of June. My goodness. Yeah. There'll be back to school ads on TV before you know it.
There's already Christmas ads on TV.
No, there's not. But you're probably not too far off.
I was doing.
No, but you're probably not too far off. You go to the Targets of the world. There's Halloween decorations up.
This one says, Texas Tech is the nil money leader by far. West Texas oil money, my boy. Oil money, as we like to call it. That's probably true. I mean, it's we talk about on Texas. They have high school stadiums that are better than Huntington Bank Stadium.
Friday Night Lights. Yeah, they make TV shows out of it.
It's
a religion there. I mean, there's certain states and Texas is probably as big as any in the country when it comes to high school football. You're right. I mean, you look at the amount of money that they spend on high school facilities, and I don't know, some hold, 20,000, 30,000, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, have fun.
Let's take a final break. Got a couple of other topics I want to. We're
zipping along.
I'm going to grill you. We got some topics that I want to get your thoughts on. So we'll do that on the other side of the break. One more segment to go here on a What's Up Wednesday, a Wet Blanket Wednesday. It's Common Man, Tennessee, and Mark Rosen here on The Fan.
the Prime.
Come 13-14 past. I'm Common. He is. Tend to be Mark Rosen here as well. Bobby Nightingale is beat writer, Twins, Fish Wrap Factory, West Side. And please don't do this to me. He wrote a piece today, how a one-day trip to California helped Twins infielder Royce Lewis rediscover his swing. Says Lewis visited with his father and his agent, Scott Boras, and is hitting .324 since returning to the major leagues. He went to the minors, tore the cover off it. Lewis briefly returned to his hometown for long chats with his dad, William, and his agent, Scott Boras. They encouraged him, be yourself. You were a number one pick for a reason. Boras, whose sons went to the same high school as Lewis, pulled up videos of Lewis's swing from high school in the beginning of his major league career. He told him to watch how he loaded up for his swing and how he transferred his weight. Boras said, we showed him these things and we went back to it. It's not something we have to worry about saying, will it work? It has worked. It's proven. It's documented. Boras didn't give Lewis any new information. Lewis added a leg kick, which he hadn't used since 2021 when he tore the anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee. Lewis is also using a subtle foot tap with his back leg as a timing mechanism. Boras went on to say, I'm not a hitting coach because I'm not there with him every day. I know from being a player what I trusted. What I did was advise Royce on these are the primary elements that allowed you to have your most successful performances at the major league level. Lewis said, I feel like my confidence was always there. I feel like people say it was a confidence thing and you've got to mentally reset. I'm like, dude, I was mentally fine. I just wanted to know what was the thing to get me back to actually doing it in a game. And I'll have to take his word for it. He also at one time said he didn't believe in slumps, and he has two of the 30 longest slumps in Twins history. And it is a small sample size. But if it is indeed something that he can stick with, we saw it when he first came up to the big leagues. He had 5 grand slams and 3 at-bats, which is impossible to do. That's how good he was. And then it just kind of disappeared. He's battled some injuries, and he hasn't been able to find a position. And I think I remember, he wanted to be a third baseman. He fought the idea of changing to another spot, or was it shortstop? He didn't want to change positions, and now he finally has given into that. He's played a little second. He's played a little first base. And, this is the way it says since he's returned. Let's see what his numbers are. Lewis has been back in the majors for 10 games, but it looks like a different player compared to the beginning of the season. 12 for 37, .324 batting average, 3 homers, 2 doubles, 7 RBI, and a 1.003 ops. And I think that's good, but I don't even know what ops means. Like it says, it's a small sample size, but he's hitting the ball harder. His walk rate is up, and his strikeout rate is way down. His bat speed has increased by 2 miles per hour. Those are all meaningful indicators that these are long-lasting changes. Shelton, manager, said he's got some energy. It's the first time I've seen it during the regular season, but that energy is great for us. And for the team to be successful, and I'm not even talking about this year. I think this year might be a lost season. Maybe not. Who knows? Teams have made, changes. We've seen teams get off to a bad start in the season and put a great streak together. And we've also seen teams collapse after getting a good start. But if he does, he is such an important part of the grand scheme of things that if this better be, hopefully for his sake and for the franchise, this better be for real, because without him, you got to have those 2 or 3 guys in the middle of your order, the guys that can carry a team. That if you have a hitter or two, they can carry a team for games, even series, couple of weeks. And Lewis is that kind of a player, along with Buxton.
I'm just surprised, based on what you were talking about at the beginning of the article that Nightingale wrote, that talking about he had conversations with his dad. He went out to California. Mm-hmm. I would assume he's had plenty of conversations with his dad, whether it be just good old-fashioned telephone call or video chatting with his dad. And same thing with Boras. Well, I mean, long before he went to California, I'm not trying to throw cold water on this whole thing. I just don't understand, in the midst of a slump, how all those things didn't transpire, given the fact they have volumes of tape on every player now that the hitting coach and everyone else, almost to a fault, can look and break down your swing and everything else that happened. I don't know if the trip to California was some sort of magic elixir. I think probably what he was able to relax a little bit more in St. Paul and do those things. But I just find it kind of like, wait a minute. So all the stuff, the adjustments that weren't being made that he feels now that he's doing, which he had complete 100% control of beforehand when he was. Well,
I guess in my defense of him, and I really have no reason to defend him, but just to answer your rhetorical question, maybe it was the stark reality, the slap in the face that you're going back to the minor leagues now. So.
That's probably more of it.
And so you have that, and sometimes maybe he didn't. Here's another thing. I don't know what the hitting coaches with the Twins do. I don't know what hitting coaches at any team and any level do when they have a player. But, like sometimes you'll see a guy might have a hitch in his throwing motion, so you try to fix that. Well, maybe the hitch in the throwing motion is like maybe that tapping of his foot is a timing mechanism, and the other thing about, the leg kick. I don't know. Could it have been that hitting coach has said to him, you shouldn't tap the foot like that, dude. That's not how a good hitter. You shouldn't kick your leg. It's like I have a theory, and I've had people. I'm going to make a golf analogy, where if you go to a golf professional or assistant pro, many of them are trying to teach you how to swing like Fred Couples. They want to teach you to have the perfect golf swing, and it's only Freddie Couples can swing like that. Now you want to improve your swing, but. A guy like Craig Warrior, Master Professional, what he does is he takes a look at your body type, who you are, what are you trying to get out of your game? Where are you going? Like the joke I always make, Craig once told me, he said, with my elite players, I teach them how to breathe properly. And I said, well, you never taught me how to breathe properly. Long pause. I get it. I'm not an elite player. But so sometimes they'll try to change people to make them, well, no, you don't have to swing like Fred Couples. You can have a little bit like Bruce. I'm an over-the-top swinger. Sometimes it's really bad where you get over the top like this, right? Like you're almost chopping wood. And Craig once told me when I was going to change my swing, he said, I wouldn't do that. It's going to take you at least 2 years to
get your body ready
to try to get the swing like you would be taught from the very beginning. And he said, and even then it might not work. And then he listed all these different PGA players, including Bruce Litsky, who were over the top, not dramatically over the top like they're chopping wood. But so there's a lot of different swings that can work, and that's the same thing I think in baseball. I mean, remember Mel Ott used to lift up his leg, his leg way up in the air, sort of Dick McCullough. He did the same thing. You would never teach anybody to do that, but if it works, no. Remember Carl Yastrzemski used to hold that bat way up in the air.
There's been so many unique styles, and people imitate them with videos they put together of pretty much everybody in the lineup. You go through the Twins lineup the way. Even the championship years of '91, whether it's Puckett, Gaetti, whatever. Gaetti used to talk about chopping wood. When I used to talk to him about what your swing is, he goes, "Well, I pretend like I'm up there with a bat, like I'm chopping wood when I'm swinging the bat."
There you go.
And whatever works. And look, there's been hundreds of players who have gone through what Royce Lewis is going through, where they've had a trip to the minors and things just aren't going well. It mentally just wears you down, especially a young player with the aspirations and the hopes of a franchise on his broad shoulders. And Royce is such a likable guy. I mean, all his interviews, he's such a positive, ray of light in an otherwise kind of dark chapter in Twins history. You find yourself rooting for him, and I think it is incumbent upon him. And it seems like he's done the right things. He worked with Justin Morneau during this time at St. Paul about, the kind of the intricacies of playing first base and doing little things like that. And I was watching some of last night's game when they routed Texas. He was at third base, made a really nice play. That was nice to see. He's bouncing around a little bit, but he's too talented to, they're not going to obviously give up on him. And let's hope he's finding something that works for him. And a lot of guys go through it. We've seen the best of Royce Lewis, and now hopefully the worst of Royce Lewis, and now we can find a happy medium and be a major contributor to whatever success this team has this season.
Well, and I think that is that's at the crux of it, is you have to find something that works for you. And I was talking to somebody recently, a ball guy, and one of their theories was, he's one of those guys, and you can see it how he plays. He gets really high. I mean, he's really emotional. He gets excited. And then maybe sometimes he gets too down on himself. And, especially in a sport, they're all long seasons, but in baseball, you understand the game. You've played the game. It's one of those where it's inevitable that even if you're one of the best players in the league, you're going to go through a stretch during the summer. You could end up being the MVP of the year, and you're still going to go through a couple of stretches where you go over 12, over 18.
20,
it's going to happen because the rhythm, the timing, whatever it is, isn't there. A pitcher or two that you face kind of thinks he's got the book on you a little bit, and he executes his pitches real well, and he's got you swinging at pitches you really normally wouldn't swing at. So when he said he doesn't believe in slumps, I think he's learned that there are those. You just want to limit those in scope as far as how long they are. And if you can do that, I mean, the old line there, it's such a cliche, but the hardest thing to do is hit a baseball, because if you're successful 3 out of 10 times, you're still considered a great player hitting 300. And it is true. And sometimes I think guys press too. My guess is he was probably pressing. I mean, if you watched some of the pitches he was swinging at when he was struggling, they just started, dropping the ball out on him, and he would just go.
He was chasing.
Oh, he's just chasing way. They would just throw that off-speed pitch, and it would drop out of the strike zone. He'd be just flailing at us because you're anxious to hit the goal. To hit the ball. You're trying to get yourself back on track, and sometimes it's more difficult.
And the worst thing you have to do is go back in the field. At least if he's not DHing, he's out in the field and can concentrate on that. But it plays on your mind. Next time you get up, same stuff going to happen. You get a 1-2 count. You know what the pitcher's thinking, and he's going to throw something you can't lay off of it. So it's a difficult dance to get to the majors, to stay in the majors, and to perform at the majors. When Royce Lewis is too good of a player. And I don't think obviously the Twins have given up on him. They can't. They don't have enough talent. They're not talented enough.
Well, they can for now,
as Herb Brooks said, they don't have enough talent to win on talent alone. And that's just it. I mean, you're not going to have too many games like you had last night, and then now they've won 3 in a row. And I mean, the Texas Rangers, it was so bad for them. They had I think a position player. Their catcher was throwing the ball to the Twins.
They do that at the end. All the teams do that at the end of the game. They just save an arm, and it only makes sense.
It makes sense.
So, Tenneby had a question for me in 534, and it was, somebody, a commentary piece or an analysis piece about, which players could be available for trade. And when it talked about the Twins, it said you could look for the possibility that the two people that would be on most people's radars would be Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton. In the case of Buxton, he's always said he wants to retire a Twin. That could still be the case. He has a no trade clause, I think, complete no trade, I think. And so if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go. Whether he could be persuaded to go is another thing. If the Twins wanted to trade him, we don't know what the poll lads are thinking. I don't think anybody really does. I don't know if they know what they're thinking. They did the fire sale last year with the bullpen. But he would certainly be a play. We talked about this yesterday. I think there are plenty of teams in contention that would love to add him to the line, especially the year he's having now. He's second in home
Atlanta,
runs.
his hometown.
The big East Coast teams, they're always interested in adding talent. The New Yorks is and the Bostons is, and the Dodgers and the Mets. They're always interested in adding talent. The other guy, though, I think that might be more likely to be Joe Ryan.
Yeah, that would if they had a fire sale and gave away Joe Ryan for, even a really good prospect, I'd be like, no, come on now. With Pablo Lopez out for the year again, and not really much in Bailey Ober, either not most effective or he's hurt again. They don't have a lot of options, and Ryan he's their best starting pitcher. He should have more wins, but they haven't necessarily scored a lot of runs when he's been pitching. But that would be a real waving the white flag, and I would send the absolutely the worst possible message to the fans. Not that they haven't seen enough of it with Joe Ryan's situation, but you're right. I think that would be the one player you look at.
What Tenneby and I were discussing is there's a fine line between rebuilding, which is what they're doing. I mean, I know Tom said he thought they could contend, but let's face it, they're rebuilding. That's why they did what they did. They traded. You're not going to understand trading the closer. That makes sense because you can get a lot for him. And if you're not in contention, what do you need a closer for? So that one I think bothered a lot of people. To me, that was if you're going to trade anybody, that would be the guy you would trade because you can get what would be at least prospect-wise, you can get a king's ransom. But they've got a bunch of prospects now, and, you can't win with prospects alone. What are you going to, are they all going to blossom at the same time and all hit? Probably not. So you do have to have some core players. And with this team, those core players would be Buxton. I know that he's closer to the end of his career than he is to the beginning, but he's still a quality player. You see the numbers he's posting now. Royce Lewis, we just talked about him. He was a number one prospect in minor league baseball for the longest time. You have a couple of other guys that I think they like. Brooks Lee, I think they still have hope for a couple of others. And then you have a 1-2 pitching punch of Lopez, and because Lopez will come back, and hopefully he'll be as effective as he was. You have Lopez and Joe Ryan. So if you start getting rid of Joe Ryan, and then you're down to Lopez, and then, if you were to trade a Buxton, well, then you're down to Lewis, and I don't even know Brooks Lee. There's a couple of other younger guys. Yeah, Larnach's hitting a little bit better now, but he's done that. A lot of these guys, they have streaks where they're good, and streaks where they're not. So I don't think you can completely trade it. It's a fine line between how many of your established players, your core players, do you let go, and how many do you keep?
Well, yeah, and it's we'll find out, trading deadline, but there have been some surprises with, I'm trying to look at the standings here real quick, but.
Well, look at the White Sox.
Look at the exactly. The White Sox are leading the Central Division, or tied with Cleveland, the 38-33 record. They were the worst of the worst.
How many wins last year? Was it 50, 60, whatever it was? It was off.
The Twins are in third place, solidly in third place, and the Tigers are having a terrible season, and I thought they were supposed to be pretty good this year.
And that's why Skubal might be up for it.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, the Twins are 5 games out of first place with playing 5 games under 500.
You like this club a little bit, don't you? That 5 games out doesn't sound insurmountable, does it, Mark?
They will probably draw the best crowds of the year next week when the Dodgers make their appearance, their one appearance of the year. Again, a team that's 20 games over 500, 9 games ahead of San Diego in the West, and the team that we talk about, where I go, God, it must be nice. And we talked about them last year. To be a Milwaukee Brewer fan right now, again, small market team. They had a really good season last year. They're 18 games over 500. They got that flamethrower, the pitcher they drafted that was, I don't think necessarily the highest draft pick, but he hit 108, I think, on the radar gun. I hope he doesn't burn out, but he is something to watch. And, that's a great summer for Brewer fans again. To have a team like that, it makes you jealous. I'm sorry. It just.
Are you jealous?
I am, of having a really good baseball team in a great market like Milwaukee to go watch their baseball team. It's a lot of fun. You're having a good day at the park. Every single day they have a run differential of 113, plus 113. They're scoring a ton of runs, and their pitching staff's been great. So,
You mentioned the Dodgers. How many current Minnesota Twins would crack the starting lineup at the LA Dodgers?
Oh, boy. Well, maybe Buxton.
Maybe Buxton.
Yeah,
that'd be it. Buxton. There's not another guy in the club.
No, there's no one else.
Joe Ryan would be
fourth
back
pitcher.
of the end rotation.
Probably.
Think about that. That's how far away these two teams are. And again, we know it's the Dodgers got all the money in the world. They just spend. It's like what Dan Campbell said. They said, Dan, you've been spending a lot of money on players. He goes, and we're going to spend it till we don't have any left. And that's what they do with the Dodgers. Of course, they have plenty more where that came from. They can spend as much as they want. But think about that. That's how two different stratospheres those teams are on.
Well, that's why they're probably going to have a lockout next year.
I think they will have a lockout.
Yeah,
right?
The owners are trying to say enough is enough. We not only want the Dodgers not to spend as much money. I don't know how they're going to do this with guaranteed contracts next year, if they're going to do that. But also they want the bottom feeders like the Twins, Pittsburgh, the Reds, who are having another bad year. Colorado, a team that draws well, but their ownership doesn't give a rip about the team. They're even worse than the Twins, I think, in terms of that. To come up and force them to spend another $50-60 million at least. So I'd be very surprised if we're going to have baseball next year. But I hope I'm wrong.
What team did you like better, Big Red Machine or the Charlie Finley's Oakland Athletics?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a really good question.
I saw more because we were exposed a lot more here in town to Charlie Finley's Oakland A's. I saw them play at Met Stadium a lot, and that great lineup they had: Joe Rudy and Sal Bando and Reggie Jackson,
Rick
Campaneris, Rick Monday, Catfish Hunter,
Sal Bando.
Yeah, that was a team. They won 3 World Series in a row.
I think they won 3 in a row
with the colorful uniform. Remember, Joe DiMaggio was a base coach for him.
DiMaggio.
What did I say? DiMaggio?
Yeah, I say DiMaggio.
Well, I say DiVincenzo.
We had this discussion before. Paul Simon says, "Where have you gone, Joe?" DiMaggio. So I'm going with the Paul Simon pronunciation.
Fine. But I mean, of all things, they have Jolton Joe here. I mean, I remember watching him at Met State. Like, that's Joe.
Yep. Jolton Joe, the Splendid Splinter.
Yeah, the Splendid Splinter.
All right, Mark. We'll see you tomorrow, and then you're out for about a year and a half.
That's about it. Right? I'll be back in time for watching the Vikings go to the Super Bowl this year.
And will you be around for the State Fair?
That's questionable.
Yeah,
I'm listed day to day.
I figured as
month
much.
to month.
We'll see you tomorrow too.
Yes, sir.
With the tongue injury.
Yeah, with the tongue. Well, he bites it off. And Kennedy, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We just had a special time with you today. We're back tomorrow at 12 noon. Rosen will join us at 2 o'clock. Stick around. Big Ticket, the Tasteless Box of Mashed Potatoes. Justin Guard. They're next, right here on the Fan.